Drop it like it's hot.
It understands that you can't have liberation without creativity and imagination. Just read Octavia Butler. Just read Tiana Revdu. Just read Milton Davis, W.E.B. Du Bois, and Maya Angelou. So I guess I can't be black and think the impossible.
Peace, love, unity, spoken word, you heard? I am Brother Kamal Iamni with BlessTheMicCiphers TV, and I'm glad to have a very, very special guest, a brother who I go way back when, and I want to ask him, like, when did we meet? So that's one of the questions I got. But we go way, way back, and he is the epitome of spoken word. He's a very consistent brother, very consistent poet. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more once we get on. But he's a legend, a living legend already. And his name is, I always get ready to say the name that I was rocking with, but I'm not going to say it, but it rhymes with it. It rhymes with it.
Well, there's very few out there that know the very beginnings. So yeah, you're one of them people. So I get it all the time.
Right, but his name is James Ellerbe. Welcome, brother James. How you doing, man?
Peace, man. Good to be here. Good to see you. You know, you're looking good. And
I'm trying. Thank you. You too, brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
So, all right. Now, this is what I was going to say. I thank you for being the glue, the generational glue between some of the older heads and then the younger poets. And that is because when the changes in the spoken word industry, I'll say, took place, you stood there and you kept going. And I believe it's because I was the love of poetry. And I want to thank you for assisting me when I was making my transition from conscious hip hop to poetry, because I was tired of the fighting and the violence. And then the major labels had went from the conscious into the gangster, and there was really no place for brothers of our ilk. And I had heard via Russell Simmons that deaf poetry was definitely coming. And you had the Love Jones, you had little movies here and there. And I ran into you, and you mentored me, and you're younger than me and mentored me, and you introduced me to the likes of Helena D. Lewis and Lamar Hill, and therefore Talam Acey, some of the greats, and I just thank you for that. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So we'll start with, I guess we'll go back in time. When did you start doing poetry?
It started out in high school. If I pinpointed the exact time, around sophomore year, I considered it more of like writing a diary, because I was a very what do you call it? A very just a person that wasn't as outgoing as the James you know now.
Okay.
So like growing up, I had very little friends. And poetry was my way of getting out what I was going through. The different struggles as a young man trying to figure himself out, trying to, make sense of this world. And being that I was raised from a single parent family, I kind of had to do a lot of that on my own. Of course, my mother was very supportive, but there's nothing like having the influence of, a father or so forth, you know, guiding you through life. So I didn't have a lot of that growing up. So that's where the poetry came in. It kind of gave me the ability to really analyze my own thoughts, analyze the world around me, and it has introduced me to some of the most beautiful people on the planet, and has taken me places I would have never dreamed of. And it also opened up doors that I thought were closed, you know, and really gave me a real purpose in life, a real like there's something else to life, you know. Um, but it wasn't until I would say around when I first started going to college that's when I identified as myself as being a poet. Because
Okay.
I
And
would
what?
study early, you know,
Mhm.
poets, and like, you know, Maya Angelou, Nikki Giovanni, Paul Laurence Dunbar, you know, Mary Baraka,
Mhm.
you know, Langston Hughes, all the greats.
Right.
But I didn't see myself,
Mm.
you know, in that light. But you know, what I discovered is it's not about their light; it's about your light and what you want to share through your words,
That's
and
right.
where you want to take, you know, poetry. And
That's
and
right.
that's why I work to do what I do now.
So where did you grow up at?
Well, I grew up in Hackensack, you know, Bergen County.
Okay.
Um, I'm currently living in South Jersey,
Okay.
and with my wife now 8 years now.
Oh, that went
So
fast. Congratulations. When you
thank you,
first
thank you.
told me, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And when you first told me when you moved down to South Jersey too.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And okay, so you grew up in Hackensack. Now when you said you were reciting poetry, got into poetry, how did that make you see new things with the world, understand the world better?
Well, as I started to learn more, um, it it challenged me in my writing to really, you know, internalize what was going on around me. Before I was writing from a more more I would say emotional aspect, but then
Okay.
it developed into a more introspective aspect as I started to learn more and started to just live life, and then, you know, I had my own questions, and then I
Mm,
would, you know, formulate the answers to those questions, and then that would come out into my writing. You know,
interesting.
yeah.
Right. Bishop Jordan, Bernard Jordan, he says that for every question, the answer already exists.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
You know?
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, I mean, we're just discovering it for ourselves. You know.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, yeah,
So, like, the
totally.
poetry causes you to get introspective. That's what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, um, well, first of all, just, you know, just the power of words. Period. Like, it's so amazing. It amazes me
Mhm,
even to this day. Like,
mhm,
you know, how you can really, you know, just, you know, uh, travel to different trains of thoughts, you know,
right.
through words. And I've been an example of words transforming, you know,
Mm, mm.
and for me now to see it, you know, happening to others is so mind blowing and so amazing. And that's what keeps me doing it, you know.
Right. I was going to ask you, like, how do you feel about the audience responses to some of your poems?
It feels good, but I'm more to me, when someone comes up to me and say, wow, you know, I never thought about,
Right,
you know, the
right,
subject like that, or
right.
wow, you gave me a new perspective, or that inspired me. To me, that matters more than the actual applause. And, you know,
Hmm.
because now I know it resonated with you, you know what I'm
Right,
saying, that it touched you somewhere, you know, and
right.
that, to me, that's more important. Yeah.
And I recently heard Brother Sadiq told me you won a slam. I think it was in Patterson or something like that.
Well, I tied for actually this is the Patterson Poetry Festival. That was the second time I won, but this time I tied.
Okay,
So I
okay.
wanted, with the sister,
You go ahead. I
Kiara
didn't want to
Marie.
mess up her name.
Kiara Marie, yeah,
All
very
right, all right.
talented, young poet that's really, she's really bringing the words, So it was,
Right.
it was definitely an honor to win that. But I won also in Jersey City. I won a slam in Jersey City. Yeah.
That's good. You got a lot of courage, man. I never slammed, not on purpose anyway. When I didn't know what I was doing, when I first came in, but I'd rather rap battle than slam.
You
Yeah.
know what
So,
it is? I'm not really. I like to say I'm a hybrid.
mm,
I developed into slamming through the encouragement through like people like Flo Mentals. You brought
right. Shout out to
Flo,
Fundamentals.
and also Big Mike, also another Jersey, New Jersey poet vet, who basically said you really need to slam more, man, because your writing will become sharper and more fine tuned. And they're right. I could definitely see the benefits of me, as I slam, more, it's causing me to really like take it beyond, basically to master the craft. Because
Right.
slam, you're really mastering the craft and from all aspects, not just the words, but also the performing aspect of it. So yeah.
Because you have to make separate poems, kind of, right? Not make them, but you got to know which ones for the slam circuit.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And also what you gotta know what words kind of land,
Wow.
and or what words causes a reaction, an immediate reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's a technique to all that, So
Right.
yeah.
Right. Mm. Okay, so you got me thinking of that. You got me all deep, pardon me. Pardon me. So yeah, I want to shout out Flo Mentals also. And I'm trying to get her name right, the Queen from Patterson.
Talina,
Talina, yeah, she
Talina,
had Talina.
poet laureate
Right, the Paul
from
Patterson Poet
Patterson,
Laureate.
yeah.
She was on here recently, and she's doing big things too, keeping it alive. So where do you see spoken word going in the near future?
It'll go where we take it, you know. Um,
Yeah, true.
I like to quote very, vet MC, Mos Def, or now known as Yasin Bey. He spoke about it in terms of hip hop. He said, you know, hip hop is going where the people are going, and that's the same thing with all art forms. It goes where the people are going,
Right.
and so it's up to us to make it what it's to be,
That's
So
it.
I'm just
That's
trying to
it.
play a part, just trying to do my part in it,
That's true. Same here, brother. Same here. Um, I want to rewind a little bit to slam, because some people may not know what slam poetry is. Some don't know the difference between poetry, spoken word, slam,
hmm
hip hop. So can you break that down?
Yeah, definitely. Slam is just the competitive aspect of spoken word. Um, Spoken word being, the performance aspect of poetry, bringing the words to life, and slam is just the I guess you can call the measuring mechanism, in order to um, to illustrate, okay, who is a master at um, capturing,
Lyricism.
not just lyricism, but just capturing the crowd.
Ooh.
Who is and it's like the MC version of
Right.
of
Right.
poetry.
Kind of like battling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But it's more emphasis on how can you effectively convey a message through words, using the poetic vices. So that's pretty much what slamming is. Yeah. And it has rules, like any competition. Most of the rule is 3-minute poems. It can be between 2 to 3 rounds, depending on how many are in the actual slam. So that's pretty much the standard. And you have usually 5 judges that are randomly picked through volunteers from the audience. So.
And what kind of prizes?
Some are money prizes. Some are entry level into further competition. Like there wasn't a national poetry slam this year. I believe there's talks about next year, because they're going through a transitional thing right now. But the one that's been pretty consistent is the Southern Fried Slam, which is basically all the Eastern Borg, the states in the Eastern Borg, but it's held usually in a southern state. Right. So that's why they call it Southern Fried. Yeah. So you have like Philly, Baltimore, Virginia. I believe Texas is in it too. So it's a beautiful. I haven't made it yet. I'm still working to make it. Yeah. I was in the finals for the New Jeru slam team, but I didn't make it. I was short a couple of points from making it. Yeah, okay. So. That's but I'm gonna try again next year. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow, that Southern Fried sounds good. I mean, New Jeru too, because we're from here, but that Southern Fried sounds good. I want to ask a question. So, do you think sometimes, like I'll tell my son, and we'll tell children in sports, like, okay, you might not win, but give it your best and have fun. Can you approach slam like that?
Me personally, I would recommend that. I would recommend that because it just like in sports, no matter what happens, whether win or lose, you put your best foot forward, right. And you had fun doing it.
Right.
Why not have fun doing it? Than right. Stressing and making it more of a chore than right. an actual appreciation. You know what I'm saying? Right. That's with anything in life.
Right.
You got to have fun doing what you love. So
true. See, I might jump in one day, just on the fun side.
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, that's how I did. That's how I did. I just jumped in, and I was like, "Oh wow, I like this." and I can switch in between. I could go from being in the slam and featuring. Or just getting on an open mic.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you in a few minutes to spit something. But before that, I just want you to give the people an idea of some of the places that you performed at.
Oh, man. A lot. I have performed as far as Montreal, Canada.
Wow. Nice. Nice.
Baltimore, Philly, New York, Connecticut, Virginia. That's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty much.
The Nels. Yeah. I know you did Nels, right?
Yeah, Nels. Yeah, Nels.
Like, I think you must have brought me there my first time with Flomentals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. He did used to host those. Yeah, that's right.
I can't think of his DJ's name.
Probably Doughboy.
Doughboy. Yo,
Yeah,
they were
Doughboy was
hot,
all over. Yeah, yeah.
and that's
But
why I liked
Doughboy's
it. Huh?
Doughboy is you talk about a vet um
Mm.
in the poetry community. Like
Mm.
Doughboy is like the honorary DJ of of poetry during that time, because I consider that
Yes.
like the Renaissance time, of Jersey poetry. But
That
yeah,
got me
yeah.
so excited. Like and when I do functions, I try to have people do what he would do in between performers. You know
Hmm,
what I'm
hmm,
saying? Like,
hmm.
to be like, next up, James Ellerbe. Boom, 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 boom. Ah, boom. Yo, but like, oh, like he had that down. And Flo Mitchell's he was on it. He had some humor to him, some hip hop to him. I said, "Oh, I like this." Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, and when I do stuff, I'm like, "Come on!" Just when the one guy finishes, put the music on, and then right before the other person take it off. Ah.
Yeah, you could do that at live shows too, but it's a little challenging with these virtual shows.
Yeah,
You got
yeah.
Facebook on your back.
That's true. Did you ever perform at the New Eurekan?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah. See,
yeah.
I know, like, as a poet, you say, "Oh
Recently,
yeah," but the lay person's like, "The New Eurekan," and I'll be like, "Yeah."
yeah, like it's over the summer, I believe.
Hmm.
Yeah, I got thrown into a slam. It was
Wow.
actually supposed to be a slam just for Big Mike and Omar, um, two juggernauts,
Mm.
and they kind of wanted to throw a third person in there just to kind of,
Yeah,
so I got thrown in there with these two juggernauts.
yeah.
But I held my own though. I
That's
held
what's
my
up.
own,
That's what's
you
up.
know.
That's what's up. That's what I tell the little kids when they want to fight me, like in school and stuff. I say, "Look, man, I'm like George Foreman. I got at least one trick up my sleeve now.
Right?
Don't let me grab you.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm bringing
Yeah,
something with you."
two masters at like
Mm.
sarcastic poetry, sarcastic
Wow.
and humor poetry. Like they you know,
Wow.
and here's my serious behind.
You ever think about doing a one-man show?
Yes. Um like one of my I think one who has really just you brought her name up before,
Mm-hmm.
Alina. Like she her one woman show and it's multiple shows now, is just the best I've ever seen,
Mm.
period. Like,
Mm.
and no wonder she won one of the highest awards in the city,
Mm.
for her one woman show, so yeah, definitely something, brewing up, and who knows,
Yeah.
maybe as early as next year,
Right.
you might turn around and see me doing a one man
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it myself. Nah, because like, we're always thinking about different ways of expression, and you
Hmm.
don't want to do the same or be the same way. You want to have an element of surprise and stretch and expand yourself.
Absolutely.
So I think that would be an ideal, if it can, well, I say if, I know it can be pulled off, but, we don't know the results until we try, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. All right, so we are ready for you to give us something, give a little something, something.
All right, let's see. Where am I go? I'm gonna go standard. I'll do
All right.
standard. This piece, a lot of people ask me like what inspired me about this piece. It's entitled "We Are Superheroes." It's actually featured on my album, Pulsar,
Right.
spoken word musical album, and and this is I wrote this to looking at our community
Mm,
and just seeing how we're constantly searching for the next hero, the next
true,
savior,
true.
and not realizing that we are the savior. We
That's
are
right.
everything that
Amen.
we
Amen.
we You know, we are everything that we are looking for. You know,
Amen.
we just gotta identify with that part of us. You know,
That's deep.
so this is We Are Superheroes.
Okay.
We are superheroes. We are superheroes. So let no one steal your cape. Let there be no mistake. You have superpowers. You can soar above pain like the Falcon. You can punch holes in fears like Luke Cage. And no matter what people may say, the bulk of your power is inside you. It wasn't manufactured in a lab. You're not a mutation. You're a physical manifestation of something glorious, something majestic. You too can control storms like Storm. You were born beautiful, powerful, gifted, uplift your soul. Your neighborhoods are your Wakanda, and you are Black Panther. So save your fellow Avengers. Your name is Isaiah Bradley, the first Captain America. Like you were the first to create civilization, one of God's greatest creations on this earth. So take back your birthright, Esau. Climb, claw, fly your way out of the abyss. Assist anyone in despair. Dare to be incredible. Dare to be fearless, lest you be defeated by your own weakness. Secure your secret identity. The world doesn't need to see. Sometimes great things are done in secrecy. But most importantly, never give up. Tired of injustice, then decide enough is enough. Turn words into actions, dreams into goals. Hold yourself accountable. For the world needs you. Evil never sleeps. It wreaks havoc, disenfranchises lives, and will always live in a lie. Be the proof in truth. Be bulletproof. Be someone's lifesaver. Let no one steal your cape. Make every day an adventure. Venture to uncharted places. Pace yourself. Don't exhaust all your powers in one time. Even Jesus had to recharge. Be larger than life, like being the source of change. Put on your game face. For the race is not for the swift, but for the one that endures to the end. You too will bend spoons with your mind. Combined with like-minded forces, you got a course to your destiny. Believe you can. Believe you must. Trust in your maker. For who's going to show her that her life is worth more than a reality TV show contract? Who's going to show him a gang? There's no place to find a father figure. Your purpose is bigger than you. Your superpowers are not meant for you. They're meant for your family, your neighborhood, your community. For everyone wants to be super. Everyone wants to be special. But be the change. Be the difference. Be superheroes. For God's sakes, just be.
Drop it like it's hot.
Oh man, I gotta get the clap track. Yo, did you say that was a standard one?
Drop it like it's hot.
Yeah, that resonates a lot with people, you know, for obvious reasons, you know, because I'm talking to their own spirit, you know.
Yo, you know, I got a lot to say about that piece right there. Okay. I always tell myself when I tell artists that's coming up, like metaphors, similes, but symbols. Use, like you said, Luke Cage, and you said Storm, right? That puts the picture of that person or that image in the mind. And so you're painting a picture that they can see. You know, that's one thing. And daily, I try my best to listen to what you're saying, and I try to study about what you're saying in terms of my daily motivation. You know, so that's like part poem, part motivational speech, you know, because if you don't point the finger at yourself, you can forget it. You're done. You know what I mean? And just taking responsibility, that's that manhood. And I like how you talked about the cape, you know. Yeah, like all of that put together, I was like, wow, like if I was you, I would also, I don't know if you have already, I would uh, try to put that in any motivational kind of outlets that you could, as well as
Yeah, I've
poetry.
done it. I've done
Yeah.
it. I've done some, some events for like youth and schools and yeah, and that's honestly that's the reason why I wrote it, thinking about the
Mm-hmm.
youth and
Mm-hmm.
um, and kind of giving them um, through the whole comic book world. Like that's
Right.
the beauty about comic books is they a lot of what we're facing in society, a lot of that conversation happens in comic books, especially like
Mm.
a lot of people don't know, like I'm getting geek now.
That's
a
cool.
lot a lot of people don't know like the X-Men, they were like an analogy to what was going on during the civil rights era because they were
Mm.
written between the 60s and 70s. They
Okay.
originated.
All right.
So, you know,
Ah.
they were ahead of their time. Marvel
Uh,
was ahead of their time. So,
metaphors. So that's
hmm
deep. That's
hmm
deep. Because I always trusted X. Why they? But you got it. And the Black
hmm
Panther, that's deep too. Yeah. And
hmm
I would say to myself, oh yeah, the kids gonna get this. That's
hmm
good. Yeah.
yeah.
That's excellent, man. That's excellent, excellent piece, brother.
I actually talk about that in a brand new poem that
Mm,
I talk about that a little bit about that
mm.
in my poem called Blurred Blues.
You want to do
Black
that right
nerd.
now, or you want the people to look it up?
That's up to you. Hey,
Go ahead, brother. You know
all right.
I like when poets do poetry.
It about to get real though.
Uh-oh. Yeah, you had me hallelujah and stuff already. Dude, I knocked down my soda and stuff. I'm trying to play it off. I was a
Yeah.
mess over here.
Blurred Blues, I wrote, I was inspired to write due to something I had to get off my chest, something that I've experienced in a couple of scenes in poetry. And this is Blurred Blues. One of my fondest memories in middle school was to make something explode or bubble over onto my desk. Who would think that making a complete mess in my science class was beautiful?
Mm,
Who would think that dropping small toys to demonstrate Newton's law of motion was my version of dropping science?
mm.
A little black boy was able to experience life conundrum without questioning his curiosity. But now, as a black man, I'm not allowed to have a curiosity. Like I
Mm,
couldn't possibly balance being black and having a love for science in the same hand.
mm,
Like a black man is not allowed to have an imagination.
mm,
Like a black man can't ponder creation, planets, stars, black holes, and quasars. How
mm,
dare I pick up a comic book and look behind the pages and illustrations of imagination?
mm,
Like
mm,
comic books are for white people.
mm, mm, mm.
Like the X-Men were not an analogy for the civil rights era.
Wow.
Like today doesn't view us as a mutant, an error, a problem, a mistake.
Mm.
Like COINTELPRO wasn't synonymous with the mutant agenda. You mean to tell me that kind of thinking is only reserved for white people?
Mm.
That a black man can't afford to squander his time on science, comic books, philosophy, and sci-fi? Was it not Ava DuVernay, the first black woman to direct $100 million film?
Mm.
Was it not Ryan Coogler who directed the highest grossing solo superhero film ever?
Mm.
Didn't one of the greatest boxers to ever live, named Joe Louis,
Mm.
coin the highly philosophical phrase that everybody has a plan
Mm.
until they get hit? But I'm a black poet who's
Mm.
relegating to write one dimensionally, but who happens to have a stigma to see life in the fourth dimension, seldom recognized or mentioned amongst his own or others. Forced to hide my thoughts at home. When I know there's other blurbs out there, I know I'm not alone. My blackness is infinite. Just like my mind, it is infinite. It goes beyond struggle and Black liberation. It understands that you can't have liberation without creativity and imagination. Just read Octavia Butler. Just read Tiana Revdu. Just read Milton Davis, W.E.B. Du Bois, and Maya Angelou. So I guess I can't be Black and think the impossible. And resolve my pen to only speak about Black struggle, only to remain in the bubble while the greatest thinkers and creators of our time reshape our time. I guess I might be a blurred who has truly lost his mind. Blurred blues.
Amen. Wow. Damn. Shoot, that had layers too. Fourth dimension.
Time.
That's some deep stuff, brother. Yes, self-actualization. You have grown into that mastery and putting that metaphysics into the poetry. That's deep, man. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, see, like I'm still absorbing this. I'm trying to pull back out some of what I heard. But what I will say overall, being a Black man, is I understand exactly the ethos of the poem. You know what I'm saying? The vibration, because sometimes it's like, y'all don't see me in the room? I got the answer. What are y'all doing?
Yeah.
I got the answer.
Or even that you have a thought in regards to something, and you can go beyond, outside the box, like that was my frustration. I would go in certain rooms and, it's like, it's almost like, I'm not worthy to have thoughts like that, So.
And like a lot of people, they're like, they just have a robotic way about them. And like you said, when you come outside the box, they're like, that's outside of my parameter. No, we're going to do it like this. I'm like, whoa. But then that's not my problem. That's their problem. But I'm still sitting there with a question mark, like, why couldn't we just do this naturally and make it happen? But you got this barrier up. So that you gave me a lot with that. Yeah, that's heavy, man. I like that.
Thank you.
Welcome. Wow. Okay. Is there anything else that we want to talk about, my brother? I mean, we got some of it in a nutshell. You're going to be performing anywhere anytime soon?
Yes. Let me pull it up real quick. I got, oh my God, sometimes I'm getting older, so it's like.
I was going to ask you about that too, even if you forget, but I got another question for you. How do you keep your memory like that? I was like, what the poet's secret? Like, what vitamin you taking?
Oh man, it gets more challenging the older I get. As before, I can have a piece mastered in one day. I remember them days. Them days was long ago. It takes me roughly, like, if I really, really focus my energy into it, it could take about a week, 2 weeks to really get it down to where I can, like, even if I forget a line, I can, like, add something in to kind of mask it, play with it, So, or if I'm in a different environment, kind of pull them in, into the piece and stuff like that. It takes about 2 weeks to get it down to that.
Because I got to change the vision that I have of this, but I'm like, when I get back on the stage in the future, if I write like an album or something, I'll have my papers. I know people read off the phone, but I'm old school. I got my papers.
Nah, but look at Amiri Baraka, rest in power to that king. I can't even recall if I ever saw him recite from memory. Most of the
That's
time I've
deep.
seen him right from the paper, you know,
Yeah.
and he's one of the
Inspire. Yeah.
greatest to ever do it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so
I
it's, you
never.
know, it's all about, you know, bringing the words to life. That's
Mm-hmm.
I know another Jamal St. John.
Oh
He's
yeah,
another
heard of
vet.
him. Mm-hmm. He
Yeah,
reads off the paper a lot.
reads off the paper, reads
Wow.
off the paper, but the way he does it, you think, you know, he put it to memory. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's just giving those words life, you know. But to answer your question, I've
Mm-hmm.
got an event on the November 21st. It's the art showcase and small business pop-up. Um, and they have poetry, music, and of course vendors, and that's in uh, Dun Dun Dunellen, New Jersey.
I saw
Dunellen,
that
New
somewhere on
Jersey.
the highway.
Yeah, Dunellen, New Jersey, at the Colombian Club, the Colombian
Mm,
Club.
that sounds nice.
You know,
That sounds
The
nice.
Nellen.
That's what's that?
Yeah.
South Jersey
Um,
or
yeah, I
Central?
believe it's South. It might be central. Yeah, more central. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's more central. I'm
Okay.
learning, like, I'm, you know, us from the north, you know, anything north of Jersey is South Jersey to us, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
But but yeah, it might, I think that's central. Yeah.
Hmm. Wow.
So
Okay.
that's coming up. Yeah. And
And what's happening? Go ahead.
I forgot the big
Go,
one.
go ahead,
My
bro.
own show. um, I partner up with another phenomenal poet by the name of Amira Shabazz,
Mm,
and we host every um, last Tuesday of the month, when people speak, and it's virtually and it's live on Facebook. So, you know, anyone can connect with me on Facebook, James C. Ellerbe, and tune in. And our feature for the 24th of November is none other than Nikki D, the poet, from Philly, phenomenal
okay.
poet, author, definitely doing big things in this genre. So, you know, check us out, 7 p.m., November 24th.
Okay. So are we looking for your emails and things of that nature?
Definitely,
You know, it gets crazy
definitely.
out there at all. We get bombarded with emails and stuff, and we got to sort everything out. And but I'm gonna try my best to get on it. Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah,
It's
um,
gonna be something.
yeah. So I don't know, man, because either we could wrap it up. I don't want to go too long because we could go deep. But I
It's up to
definitely
you. Whatever you need, brother. Whatever
all
you
right,
get. So
all right,
I'm all you.
okay. So what's going on with your poetry? You got like a cipher that's New Jersey poets, or because you have a Facebook group and
Yes, yes.
yeah,
New Jersey Poetry Events.com. It's a site that I'm the founder of, and basically, I I would go to different shows and notice that no one would know what's going on in North Jersey, Central, or South
mm,
Jersey, and I didn't see anything or any kind of resource for people to go to know what's going on in Jersey.
mhm, mhm.
So I said, instead of complaining about it, I'm gonna go ahead and be the solution.
Right,
So I created the site NewJerseyPoetryEvents.com. I update it regularly. And it's really, really growing to be like the source, like to knowing what's exactly going on in New Jersey, as far as
that's
poetry. But
excellent.
it's, you know, poetry events, poetry workshops, um, poetry festivals, you know, all in New Jersey, all supporting the New Jersey poetry community. And yeah, so if you have an event that you want to feature on it, you know, you have a calendar section that's free, but then I
Mhm.
have like the landing page that's for promoting your particular event.
Right.
Nominal fee, you know,
Mhm,
just to keep the site going and keep it,
mhm,
you know, growing and getting into bigger things too. Because
mhm.
I want to really, my vision is to morph into it being a platform,
Right.
big platform for poetry. So
Right.
I got some things in the works. So we'll see, and
Right.
we'll just keep it going.
Any way I could help you with that, man, because my vision is similar, or pretty much the same, for poetry, but indie music as well, as you know. Yeah.
Absolutely,
And but
absolutely.
I mean, I love to see poets come together, man, and because like I had mentioned earlier, I was throwing parties, hip hop, and there was violence like almost every time. And
I remember them days.
yeah, and the Club 80 in Hackensack, BFW in
Whew.
Hackensack. Yeah,
Whew.
man. We once we had a brother Panama Rob, Roberto, and this other brother. They had to get a gun and a dog, outside the
Mm.
party. It was that bad, but the money was good, so we was trying to keep it going. But man, people was acting so crazy, and that's how I also fell in love with house music. One time,
Mm.
early hip hop era, brothers brought
Mm-hmm.
me to Rutgers University. They was having a
Wow.
party, and I
Mm.
was hearing the messages and the music, like "Follow Me" and
Mm-hmm.
"Africa, Africa," and
Mm-hmm.
"Motherland." I said, oh, I was like, I was in heaven, and nobody was fighting, nobody was evil eyeing, mugging, and I said, I like this. And then the same thing happened with spoken word. I said, I like this.
It's interesting that you said that because that's what drew me to poetry venues.
Mm,
Because I was looking for something different, besides partying all the
right.
time. And I used to trek to Newark, New Jersey. A lot of people think I'm from Newark because I'm, um, so connected to the Newark poetry community.
Wow.
But that's how I got connected because I was looking for something, because I was, partying too much, partying too much over there, and barely escaping trouble over
That's
there,
right.
over
That's
there.
right.
Yeah, but and then I came across a flyer for a poetry event, and I was like, oh wow, okay, I didn't even know they had poetry events,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
showed up and changed my life forever,
Hmm. Yeah. Well, after a while in New York, man, the city anywhere, in the clubs, the hip hop, I used to tell my
Mhm.
boys, yo, we're going to sit by the exit. No, we're going to stand by the exit. Because when they say Brooklyn's in the house or whatever, and they get
Mhm.
tense and they put on stop the violence and people start fighting and we out.
It's real.
Yeah, that was crazy,
Definitely.
man. We used to run to the danger.
Yep. God was truly on our side them days because
That
I
is
know there
true.
was a couple of, I wasn't me that made it out. Let's just say that.
Right, 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 right.
For real.
Mm, okay.
For real.
I think we're gonna have a question in our senior moment.
Oh, I didn't talk about my book.
Perfect.
Yeah,
See?
and that's another thing like that. Um, that what poetry has done, for me. Like
Mm,
I would have never ever conceived that, in 2015 I would, release my first book of poetry. Like
mm,
if you, and
mm-hmm,
self-published, and
mm-hmm,
I tried. I remember. I'm trying to remember the time frame. I know it was in my early 20s, and I tried to go through like a publishing company, and kind of broke my spirit when they
I
said,
believe
"Oh
it.
yeah, we'll publish you, yeah, but got to give us 10 grand." And I'm like, college student, you barely have a pot to piss in, and you asking for 10 grand? Like that crushed my spirit, man, and that so I just kind of put put to aside that vision to um release my first poetry book.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until I think 2014, that's when I started putting together, yeah, it was 2014 that I started putting together the book, and then everything just fell into place. And I always say, like, when you finally are moving in the direction of your passion,
Right.
of what God has for you, all types of doors will open up for you.
Okay.
And to the point where you're like looking back, like, wow.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
all this, I mean, through it, I have my own company, first published book, first spoken word album, website, about to create first children's book. I'm gonna turn We Are Superheroes into a children's book.
Right, that's nice.
So
when would that be done?
Hopefully, if all goes well, because I'm starting to really like gear up. The writing part is done because I had to tailor it, and I got to give a shout out to Big Mike for that, for helping me with that. For kids, because you have to tailor it down a little bit for kids,
right?
And God willing, I'll be working with this phenomenal illustrator, graphic, visual artist from Newark by the name of Suleiman, God willing. And yeah, hopefully I'm shooting for like around March. That's my time frame, but God, it'll be what it'll be. But yeah, I look forward to that because I always wanted to write a children's book, and this would be my first attempt at it. And then after that, then I'm gonna switch, because when I launched the book is called Beyond the Event Horizon.
Okay.
And just that, you see, right? I'm going in science. I love science. Science somehow always kind of finds a way into my poetry somehow.
That's excellent.
So I created this book, Beyond the Event Horizon. It's like my poetic diary, and also mixing science into it. So you literally have to read it page by page. So in the process of that, I was actually gearing up for a second full-length book, a full-length poetry book. And it was going to be like part 2. But what ended up happening, I happened to have a conversation with a very good poet friend of mine by the name of Uninvited.
Oh, and yeah, please tell Uninvited.
Shout out to him. And we were talking about, like I was expressing to him, I always wanted to do a spoken word album. But the pieces, all the elements, I couldn't get. It wasn't the right time. I couldn't get a vibe that I wanted, on the album. I wanted to be a true representation of who I am.
Right.
And he looked at me and was like, "I'll do your album." And I didn't even know he did beats. I was like, it come to find out, he did all the tracks on his album.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, okay, and sat down, and next thing you know, we're connecting and vibing, and I'm listening to his beats, and I'm like, wow, this is exactly what I'm looking for. This is the vibe. This is the statement that I want to make. And he hooked me up with I Am Omega, who's a phenomenal poet in himself, also lyricist, and he did the actual recording, the mix and the master of the album Pulsar, and so that became part 2. Okay. So part 3, I'm not gonna say the name because I want to keep it secret, but there's gonna definitely be a third part. Okay. This trilogy that I'm creating, part 1 being Beyond the Event Horizon, and part 2 being Pulsar, and part 3 coming up. So that'll come right after the children's book. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know how it is. It's weird, like when you're creative and you might be going one way. Like, how did I make a children's book? And then you go like, okay, but I know I got to get back to the poetry, but it's weird, but like you said, it's God,
Yeah,
because I asked God for guidance, and I said, okay, all right, that's what you say, let's do it.
I just learned to just go with it, go with the flow.
Yeah. How has things been like on the promotion or the performance and promotion and because of COVID for you?
It's been different. It's been challenging, especially with shows, because there's not a lot of live shows like there used to be. Due to all the social distancing rules and so forth. So you can't have people congregated as you did back in, before COVID. So a lot of shows are happening virtually, but it's kind of a blessing in disguise. And I've been telling poets this, that are kind of shying away from the whole virtual thing, because 2 weeks ago I did a show in Florida, virtually.
Wow.
So it's connecting.
That's crazy.
It's connecting poets to other parts of the country and even the world. Like I saw one event. It was during the Lincoln festival that they had, and they had poets from literally on the other side of the continent. You know what I'm saying? And it was cool to see them, vibing with poets from Jersey and all over, in this country, So the opportunity is there. We have to seize it now, while it's here. And that's what it is. It's challenging, like even for our show, our virtual show. The challenge is, whereas you had a brick and mortar environment, and in terms of funding and keeping it going, was there. It's challenging now virtually, because now people, all they got to do is sit at home. So we kind of got to reinvent the wheel and work. I've been paying attention to what the music industry been doing with these versus battles, and seeing how I think they figured it out. So something like that has to kind of eventually, transfer over into poetry to keep it going and keep it, growing to a bigger stage and a bigger platform. It's just figuring that out.
Right. And I'm working on that too, man. Yeah, I'm working on that too.
It's a challenge, man. It's a challenge. But you think, you talk about hip hop. When you were hip hop, just think about hip hop, right? Back in the day, you on the corner, you had the big sound system, the DJ was going, and you had a mic.
Right.
And look at hip hop now.
Right. Yeah.
The dominant music industry in the world.
That's true. In the
world.
That's true.
So
I like your optimism.
We got it, but we have to have that mindset. We have to think bigger than just venues, bigger than. We have to create the new platform for poetry.
Right.
It's up to us.
Right. There it is. We just answered some questions for me. I needed it. and I was going to say automatically, like, oh man, just like the fact that you and I are speaking, like we didn't see this coming. 2 years ago, we're gonna have an interview on Zoom about poetry and so like I'm still like, okay. I'm like, it seems like a blessing. Like you said, like a blessing in disguise. Like, seems like a blessing. Yeah, we just gotta get it right.
What's crazy? Like, even this interview, you brought up this interview, right? Even this interview, this kind of conversation, we didn't have back in the day.
True.
Think about it.
That's right.
We didn't have this kind of conversation back in the day. We kind of, stumbled onto things. You know what I'm saying? And and every now and then we would get a nugget from somewhere and we would implement it. But like, this is all part of, a
Right.
blessing, like you said, a blessing in disguise. This is
Right.
also a blessing in disguise, being
Wow.
able to share this virtually,
Right. Right. Okay, I think that's all my questions. Not all my questions. But I'm just glad that you're doing well. And
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome, man. And my young mentor
That still blows my mind. I'm like, wow. I'm learning from him. Like, how you? But that goes to show you never know who's watching you and who's you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, you was man. Thank you, because like you really like held my hand almost. I didn't know. I had no idea. Like I knew the basics of promotion and event, but with the poetry world, you brought me in. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. I would have
Yeah.
never known that. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. And then like you had a little touring thing going on. Like for some reason, the MySpace days, stuff was popping,
Oh,
Death Poetry in MySpace. These people was calling me, man. I was like, what the? So like Connecticut and Boston, like Springfield, Massachusetts, and Connecticut, they was calling me all the time. I was like, okay. But I wanted down here, but I'm like, okay, y'all like me, I like you too. But you brought me in and then MySpace came and this stuff put it up there and stuff started moving. I said, okay. And I was happy because like I said, the hip hop world was getting crazy.
yeah. I would love your thoughts on that's probably another conversation. What you think about it now?
Either I could say a lot or I could say a little bit. Really, let's see.
We might have to say that for part 2.
Yeah, I'll give you a microcosmic answer, right? Because, for example, here's one example in a little commentary, and then we can talk about that later for real, like you said. When I'm in the car, well, this is the first time I've ever wanted satellite radio. Because now we got like 5 stations that can play hip hop in the New York area. And it's like, where is the hip hop? Where is I feel like a DJ and I'm a gambler, like, okay, this one ain't, what's this garbage? And I'm going around and I'm trying to drive, and by the time I finish, I'll be at my destination and I didn't get my rocks off. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, and then when they do play something, like Shook Ones or something, I'm like, yeah.
Finally.
And I start talking over it. But I can't blame it totally on the kids because, like, like when you was talking about reading, right? They're not reading. And it's our fault, our generation, something happened where the enemy said, nah, man, this conscious stuff got to go. Even Deaf Poetry, like this stuff got to go. They're thinking now. And so now you got mumble rap, like we didn't address the divide in the family and the mentorship, passing down, holding somebody's hand, bring them with you, each one teach one. And we became more individualistic.
Yeah.
Instead of doing things as groups, because
I've been paying it. I didn't mean to cut you off. I've been paying attention to this one guy, Toby Nwikwe.
My son probably knows him. I think it sounds familiar.
Oh, brother's bad.
Yeah.
And he pairs up with his wife. His wife make the beats.
Oh.
Yeah. Nigerian brother. He's from Nigerian brother, but he's from, he lives in the South. I think Texas, if I get it right. Yeah.
You know why you got me looking crazy? Okay, I want to listen to him.
Look, I stumbled upon him by accident. Like somebody put me up on him. I'm like, where this guy been?
Word, right? Exactly.
Like he's, he's getting noticed by Michelle Obama now, and Dave Chappelle's been, been putting his name out there. Like, yeah, he's somebody to watch. I'm like, okay.
And see, you got my pet peeve. I don't know if should I say it on the air, but I say it poetically. I'll try to say poetically. Feminine beat making makes me start My heart started aching.
Oh, she bad though. I love it because she's like she keeps like what's out there now, but she tweaks it a little bit. She tweaks it a little bit to still to get like a person from our generation be like, oh, what's this?
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
you know.
Because I could get rid of a lot of the beats, but just the whining and the mumbling, and people sound like Lil Wayne, and they sound like Drake, and they sound like, yeah, you know.
First of all, just to give you an idea what his brother, he did a song, right? And all he's saying throughout the whole thing is arrest the killers of Breonna Taylor.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
when I heard that, I was like, okay, yeah, I need to pay attention to this guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then we got to come back for all of that stuff. We want to take it to the deeper, all the police brutality and all this stuff. Crazy. Yeah. But that's what we're here for, right? The poets, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been the voice, you know, for millennia and millennia to come, you know. Always in the forefront, you know.
Okay, so yeah, let's I'm with you, man. Just know that I'm with you. And this is what I want to say. The last thing I definitely want to say, I need to buy your album. All right. And the poetry community needs to buy your album, and we need to buy each other's albums.
Absolutely.
And at least go up there and stream it. You know what I'm saying? And books. And this is the way we will really build something and by supporting each other, we build something, and we could build tours, we could build all kind of stuff, but we got to support each other, you know. And I know it's everybody's busy and everybody gets bombarded on the internet with, I got this out, I got that, I got this, I got that. But we got to slow down and kind of like when we say buy black, we got to support our own,
independent.
You know what I'm saying? So we all need to do that. And that's serious.
JamesCEllerbe.com. You know, that's where you can go, you know, to support anything that I create. Would love to stream, you know, you can stream it, but you know, invest, and trust me, it's worth the investment. Definitely worth the investment from start to finish.
Yeah, I look forward to the children's book too. Everything, like for me, man, most of my life is for the future, the legacy. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Really for me, yeah. And I love to see little ones grow up wise and independent thinkers. Like you said, imagination. That's the key word. Imagination. Using their imagination and being what they want to be and doing what they want to do, and nothing stopping them because they know who they are. And that's everything that you've shown in this whole interview, pretty much. You know, they knowing who you are, using imagination and creativity, and pushing it to the next level. You know, so I thank you, my brother.
Absolutely.